International humanitarian law has historically operated on the assumption that military decisions they unfold within a temporal environment that permits deliberation. The principles of distinction, proportionality, and precaution presuppose that decision makers possess both the epistemic capacity and the temporal space necessary to evaluate uncertain information before authorizing the use of force. The law does not require certainty, but it does require judgment. The emergence of AI-enabled detection and response systems, it raises the possibility that this temporal environment may be undergoing structural transformation. The IEDS architecture, it illustrates in simplified form a pattern that is becoming increasingly common across contemporary military systems like sensor detection, algorithmic classification, probabilistic confidence evaluation, and automated transmission of operational signals. Within such architectures, the time required to interpret sensor data and produce actionable threat assessments may shrink dramatically. Machine learning systems, they process visual inputs and generate classifications in fractions of a second, transmitting outputs across networked systems that can trigger downstream responses almost instantaneously. The result is not merely faster information processing, but a reconfiguration of the decision environment itself. This transformation can be understood as a collapse of the legal moment, the shrinking interval between perception and action within which legal judgment has historically been exercised. In traditional command environments, the process of identifying and evaluating potential threats involved multiple layers of human interpretation. Sensor data were collected, analyzed, debated, and contextualized before operational responses were authorized. Each stage, it introduced temporal buffers that allowed decision makers to question assumptions, cross-check information, and consider the broader consequences of action. Algorithmic perception architectures, they compress these stages into a single computational pipeline. The system observes, interprets, and signals a threat classification almost simultaneously. When such signals are integrated into operational networks designed for rapid response, the space between recognition and action may become increasingly narrow. Importantly here, the collapse of the legal moment does not necessarily eliminate human participation in the decision chain. Human operators, they may still be present at key points of authorization. However, their role may be transformed by the temporal conditions created by the system. When alerts arrive already interpreted, accompanied by probabilistic confidence scores, and transmitted at machine speed, the human operator may confront a decision environment structured by urgency and informational asymmetry. The operator is no longer evaluating raw evidence, but rather responding to a pre-interpreted threat assessment whose technical basis may be difficult to interrogate in real time. Under such conditions, the formal presence of a human decision maker may coexist with a substantial reduction in the human capacity for deliberative judgment. Human oversight risks, they become reactive rather than evaluative. An act of ratification performed under severe temporal pressure. The implications of this transformation extend beyond tactical systems such as the IEDS prototype. If similar architectures are incorporated into broader military detection and warning infrastructures, they may influence the tempo at which strategic alerts propagate through command networks, early warning systems, air defense networks, battlefield management platforms may all begin to operate within compressed temporal frameworks shaped by algorithmic perception. In strategic environments where the stakes include escalation between nuclear-armed states, the compression of decision timelines carries particular significance. Strategic stability has historically relied on the expectation that warning systems and command authorities, they operate within time frames that permit reflection and verification. The presence of machine speed detection and classification systems may alter these expectations by accelerating the production and transmission of threat signals. The legal frameworks governing the use of force have not yet fully grappled with this transformation. Existing doctrines, they assume that human decision makers remain capable of exercising meaningful judgment over the information presented to them. When the temporal and epistemic conditions of decision-making are reshaped by algorithmic systems, this assumption may require reconsideration. The analysis of the IEDS architecture therefore points towards a broader legal challenge. The regulation of AI-enabled military technologies cannot be limited to questions of autonomous weapon deployment. It must also address the upstream processes through which algorithmic systems they transform the perception of threats and the tempo of military decision-making. The collapse of the legal moment does not arise from machines independently deciding to use force. Rather, it emerges from the cumulative integration of machine speed perception, probabilistic classification, networked signaling within military command architectures. As these systems become more deeply embedded in operational environments, preserving meaningful human judgment may require deliberate architectural and legal safeguards. Understanding this transformation is absolutely essential if international law is to remain responsive to the changing structure of warfare. The challenge is not simply to ensure that humans remain formally present in decision chains, but to ensure that the conditions necessary for genuine legal judgment, like epistemic transparency, temporal sufficiency, and accountable reasoning, are preserved within increasingly complex socio-technical systems. The stability of such systems has long depended on the expectation that leaders have time to interpret uncertain signals carefully. As algorithmic perception systems become integrated into military infrastructures, that temporal environment may begin to change. The challenge for international law, therefore, is not simply to regulate autonomous systems. It is to confront a broader transformation in how military systems perceive, interpret, transmit information about threats. Only by understanding these architectures, technically as well as legally, can we ensure that the principles designed to restrain the use of force remain meaningful in an age of machine-mediated warfare. Thank you.